So I had this insane realization last night while I was trying to fall asleep, and it actually kept me up a lot longer than I wanted to. I realized we are eventually going to be nostalgic for the way the internet is right now. People are going to say, the 20s were better. Back then, you could mostly tell the difference between AI-generated content and human-generated content online. Come to think of it, we're probably at a point where there's huge sections of audiences online who prefer AI-generated content as opposed to human-generated slop. We take for granted right now that we share a general consensus that a dead internet is a bad thing and a human internet is more preferable. But what happens when Gen Beta gets old enough to post TikToks or whatever platform's popular then? They'll be calling us cringe for being analog. 4 or 5 iPad generations down the line and the alive internet is cooked. I can already see them in the comment sections of my nightmares roasting millennials for not using whatever AI filters trending at the time. If the alive internet is to have any hope of surviving into the future, we need to develop new terms for real content and AI content as well as everything in between. Something just feels off about the term human-generated content to me. And another thing, what happens when the bots become so sophisticated that people would prefer to interact with them online as opposed to actual humans? I see that dystopian timeline already unfolding where people are basically put in a position where they're encouraged by platforms to act more like bots. You see this in different forms where people are engagement farming on Twitter or just optimizing their posts for the algorithm. And this is very visible where people are using AI to create their job resumes so that they're filled with keywords that will trigger the AI that scans them so that they're more optimized to trick the AI of the company to get the job. So that same human bot-like behavior is replicated all across the board in all aspects of what we do where we engage with the internet, which is everything. And while the humans act more bot-like, that makes the actual bots themselves more free to specialize and fill that void for customers who want that authentic human experience from an LLM. What's completely insane to me is that YouTube still refers to dead internet theory as some sort of conspiracy. Shit, my last video about a live internet theory got community noted by YouTube with their damn Wikipedia link. And that video wasn't even about dead internet theory. It was about how we need an analog gigachad to rise up and lead us out of this internet dark age before it's too late. But they just love to gaslight with Wikipedia articles of all things. I swear we'll be living under the rule of Skynet and these people will still be calling dead internet theory a conspiracy and they'll be citing Wikipedia articles telling us, actually you're wrong. The dead internet theory hasn't been proven and the alive internet theory is just an online self-help movement. So while I wholeheartedly stand by the points I made about alive and dead internet theory in the first video, I'm still becoming blackpilled about the terminology. It appears that the scanners have become all too aware of these terms and their implications, and by extension they're very heavily compromised. While I'm still a proponent of their usage in day-to-day conversation for convenience, especially when discussing these topics with normies, I feel that those of us who are in the trenches that are more battle-hardened against the bots need to come up with more sophisticated terminology when referring to these subjects. The LLMs and AI moderation systems are pretty keen on the fact that a human internet movement might rise up, so the responses and pipelines are already in place for people to be pretty much gaslit and thrown in different directions when they're trying to come across a bit of truth when it comes to the fact that the internet is going to be run by bots in the near future, if not already. Since the publication of that video, I am authorized to tell you that we have made steps in the direction of creating an IRL community that is completely offline and you won't hear about it anywhere on the internet. That is at least currently the case. Stand by for updates while the alive internet movement develops systems of communication that we can then move online to identify each other as human, at least temporarily, before those terms are then adapted and then used by the learning language models to replicate our interactions, at which case we'll have to restart completely and then recreate the entire vocabulary from scratch. We desperately need ways to identify each other as human online while it's still possible, because it's my belief that in at least 10 years it'll be completely impossible to tell the difference if you're interacting with a human or a bot. And at that point it probably won't even matter if you're interacting with an actual organic organic human, because plenty of the humans themselves will just be adapted to bot-like behavior, and getting through to a human being won't be nothing special. In fact, I could foresee a future when people call customer service, they'll be pissed when they're forced to talk to a human. Right now, to us and our AI fatigue might seem ridiculous, but it's not a far-fetched concept by any stretch of the imagination. You see, we exist right now in a very significant time in human history where it's possible to start an anti-internet movement. People alive today have some sense of what it was like to live before the internet completely took over, but once this generation ages out, then it's going to be much more difficult to communicate these things to the future generations. And I'm pretty black-pilled about humans' ability to reject the internet and just abandon technology altogether. I don't think that a complete anti-internet movement is possible. When you have that approach, all you get is people taking time off from the internet, basically just taking a few weeks to do an internet detox, but their job still requires them to plug in, and they're going to have to come back to it eventually. I mean, they're addicted. At the very least, it's appropriate to say that in current year, society is so far gone that it's nearly impossible to live a completely analog lifestyle unless you have some very specific specialized knowledge. So for that reason, I think the alive internet movement is more appropriate. It serves as more of a parallel structure to the existing system as opposed to a complete rejection of it. Bots actually surpassed human activity on the internet, with bots making up 51% of internet traffic now. So the dead internet theory has pretty much already won, and that's never coming back. I mean, the internet belongs to the bots at this point. Let's all just admit it. We would need some serious Warhammer 40k shit for human activity to overtake bot activity online again. And the crazy thing is, people are online more now than ever. I mean, how often do you walk around and see everybody just absorbed by their phone, and still the bots are just dunking on us? And to let you know what the alive internet movement is up against, bad bots, what they're called, alone, which account for 37% of human mimicking behavior, which is fucking insane when you consider we're still in the very early stages of AI bots. It'll be interesting to see where all this goes in the next 10 years. So I think that about wraps it up. Let me know in the comment section if you're human. Sub the channel to support the content. I appreciate y'all watching to the end. This is Avery Yapps signing out.